Greetings gastronauts, this is KeefCooks, I'm Keef, and today I'm going to show you a bit of a British classic, a proper British roast chicken dinner with sage and onion stuffing and roast potatoes and vegetables and gravy. So before we start, a big shout out to my new fan on Patreon, Theodora Toe, or Two. Greetings. And also to the couple of thousand new subscribers I've got in the last few days as a result of my best long egg video going a bit viral. I hope you guys don't think every video I do is like long egg. Sometimes I set out to cook something and I can do it first time. This could be one of those times. Anyway, enjoy. So when I was a kid, we had this probably every other week. The alternating week would be roast beef. I don't know what makes this so special, really. Lots of countries know how to roast a chicken. I think it might be, you know, the stuffing and the roast potatoes and, you know, all the bits as well. Anyway, very easy to do and very impressive, and don't be scared and let's do it. Now, there's a lot of tosh spoken and written about how to roast a chicken. You know, some people like start at a high temperature and reduce it. They do all kinds of things, stuffing herbs under the skin. You can do that if you want. I don't want. I just want it plain, simple, juicy, tasting of nothing but chicken. So that's quite easy to do. You will need a chicken. This is a 1.7 kilo bird. You will need some fat. This is actually schmaltz that I made, which is rendered chicken fat. You could also use oil, olive oil, or butter, or whatever you like. Some salt and pepper to season. Now, what I like to do is shove an onion up its backside, and I like to build a little bed of onion, celery and carrot for the chicken to sit on. And you know, that as the juices come off the chicken, it kind of makes a very nice stock for your gravy. Right, food safety advice, because I've got a lot of American fans now and they're very scared about stuff like this. Most chickens are little bombs of bacteria. They're full of salmonella and God knows what. So be careful with them. Don't wash them. What you're trying to avoid is cross-contamination of those little bugs getting onto your chopping board or your knife or your vegetables or your hands or your eyes or whatever. Wash your hands after you've touched it. Wash any knife or chopping board or anything that's touched raw chicken in hot soapy water as soon as you can after you've actually dealt with the chicken. Okay, end of lecture. Now get your oven preheating. This is a convection oven, so it's 210 degrees Celsius or 230 if it isn't. I'm going to chop up the veg and whack them in the tray. I've got the onions in and their skin. Skin is good. And just arrange the carrot and the celery in a single layer. And you know, these are the ingredients of the French mirepoix, which is the base of a lot of classic French cooking because they go so well together. They're kind of like European umami. So we'll just set that aside. Now, the bacteria bomb, you just want to oil it all over, or grease it, or lubricate it, or whatever you want to call it. And this will help you get a nice crispy and golden skin, which is what we want. Okay, contamination alert. If I was now to grab a pinch of salt from that bowl, I'd be in trouble. I'd get so many bad comments and I don't like those, so I'm going to use a spoon. This is okay because it's in a jar. Just rub that in. Try and get it nice and even. And the pepper. I only discovered schmaltz about a year ago, actually. And yeah, I know, I didn't discover it. It's been well known in Germany and amongst the Jewish community for like forever. But it's new to me and it's wonderful stuff. Okay, well, half an onion up there. And that's ready to go. Gonna wash my hands. So I'm going to pop the chicken on the veg, and I've got some water that's just recently boiled, and I'll just pour in enough to cover the vegetables. and I'll stick that in the oven for about an hour. Now, I'm not giving it, you know, you get a lot of recipes, they say so much per pound to start with and then so much per pound thereafter. That's all tosh. The only thing we're concerned about is the internal temperature of the chicken. So when it reaches 65 to 70 degrees Celsius, it's cooked. So that's all you need to know. And that could happen in an hour, maybe a bit longer, depending on the size of your bird. So in we go. Now I'm going to make the stuffing. Probably most people don't realise how easy it is to make your own stuffing. Normally it comes out of a box that says Paxo on it. So I've got 150 grams of breadcrumbs, I've got an onion, I've got half a dozen sage leaves and a lot of butter. Not that much, but a generous amount of butter. If you haven't got fresh sage, you can use about a tablespoon of dried. First thing to do is chop the onion quite small and just saute it a bit. So I've got some butter melting in the pan. Let's just turn it down a little bit. Chopped my onions and I'm just going to pop them in and just let those cook gently for about 5 minutes until they're just soft but not browned. I'm going to prep the sage leaves, and what I do, stack them up, roll them up, and then just take a little knife and slice them very finely. Okay, these are looking done. I'll turn that off and just pop those into a little bowl, and I'll stick that in the fridge to cool down. Next job, potatoes. Right, I've got a pan of water coming to the boil on there, and I've got my spuds. I've got actually, you know, this size, 4 of those per person is fine. And in the winter I would usually peel potatoes, but these are nice and clean. However, if they've got any eyes in them or dodgy looking bits, just cut them off. So I'm just going to cut these in half, kind of diagonally, so they're about bite-sized. And the diagonal cut just makes them more interesting, I think. So chuck them in the pan, and when it comes to the boil, put a lid on, turn it down to simmer and parboil them for about 10 minutes. I'll just turn that down a bit. Okay, now I'm going to make up the stuffing. So pop your breadcrumbs into a bowl and pinch salt and the cooled onions and the sage. Give that a stir, and then just pour on boiling water to about the level of breadcrumbs. Stir that again, and now we want a big lump of butter in there. Stir that in, get it melted, and just let that sit. The breadcrumbs will absorb the moisture and it becomes wonderful. So for the roasties, I've got a roasting tin in the oven now, and I put some schmaltz in that as well because it's my new thing. Normally you would use pork dripping or goose fat or duck fat or oil or whatever you got, but I reckon schmaltz roast potatoes might be fun. Certainly should be tasty. Right, the spuds have had their 10 minutes, so what I'm going to do now is transfer them to the baking thing with the hot schmaltz in it. So just drain off your spuds and then rough them up in a colander, and that just gives more surface area to get browned and crunchy and wonderful and golden. And just give those a stir, get them all fully coated in the fat. Okay, looking good. Give them a good sprinkle of salt and stick them in the oven. And you know, they want like half an hour, 45 minutes till they're golden and crunchy, and you might want to turn them over now and again. Right, here's our chicken, lovely and golden and bronzed, just like me on the beach. Let's that doesn't often happen. Let's check the temperature. Yeah, 71, 72, that's well over. Oh dear. I confidently announce that this chicken is well and truly cooked. So what we'll do now is tent that in foil and let it rest for at least 15 minutes, and I better get my stuffing in. No, sorry, that was wrong. I'll just take the chicken out of there and pop it on this warmed platter because we need to deal with that for the gravy. and just cover that with the foil and leave it to rest. Right, now the stuffing traditionally would go inside the bird, but that doesn't get done very often now because of well, cross-contamination and also, you know, cooking times and that. So what I do is I put them in a muffin tin and I just bake that, and that needs 20 to 30 minutes, so I better get it in right now. Okay, nearly there. Just got to make up the gravy. So got a pan on sort of medium heat. Got the dribbles from cooking the chicken. A lot of chefs will say you just stir a bit of flour into the liquid that comes off the meat, and that's without adding water. I think that gives you, you know, a tablespoonful of gravy, which really isn't enough, nowhere near enough. So that's why I add the water. I might add some stock to that, and I've got some flour. I'm just going to add that in there. We'll sift that in there, and that will thicken it. Yeah, I'm going to add some more. I'm going to add some more stock, but also when we carve the chicken, there'll be more juice to add as well. So vegetables, you might have noticed the old sous vide has been going the whole time. I've got some cauliflower florets, some broccoli and some carrots, and they've been in there for at least an hour at 84 degrees Celsius. What you do for your vegetables is entirely your choice. Steam them, boil them, whatever. Yeah, I want more stock in there, so I've got some wibbly wobbly chicken stock, you know, what I make, and let's stir that into that. Now let's deal with Mr. Chicken. Apparently a lot of people think I look like Colonel Sanders. I don't know why. I do really, and I made a video about it, so I'll link that somewhere. Right, I'm gonna chop him up. Fork, big knife. So I like the leg. Mrs. KeefCooks, who's just come out of the shower and won't be making an appearance in this video, which is a shame. I know you'd love to see that, but she likes the breast. Come on, wiggle, get off. There you go. Right, that's mine. Look at that. Beautiful. Just check my gravy. Oh, that's delicious. I think I'll just have that. Okay, enough cooking. Time for eats. Okay, chicken dinner. Gravy. Bit of chicken. Yep. Works for me. Bit of stuffing. Perfecto. Bit of roast tatty. Yeah, fantastic. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. And that's that. I hope you enjoyed it. Now please do the usual: likes, shares, comments, subscriptions, donations, patronage, all that good stuff. Or just some of it. And thank you for watching, and see you next time.